This next series of lessons will concentrate more on design. The previous ones were more of an introductory to get you a feel to use the software. In this one, it's more on doing your job differently than if you were to use a CAD-based product. The premise of what you're about to learn is found in the book Prefurbia. It's highly recommended that you read this book before you continue with this section. In most cases, the book was made available to users of this LandMentor system. The methods that are taught in the book have evolved with over 1,000 developments in 47 states and 18 nations, all with a 100% approval process, yet all are outside the box. We are teaching you methods that work. Any deviation is not likely to provide a better result. So we would highly recommend that you not experiment, at least at the beginning, with trying to figure out how you could do something better that we have evolved over $60 billion worth of development. We are sharing information with you. Architecture. Planning and architecture should be merged. They should be interrelated. If not known at the front, for example, what architecture, the consultant, you're a consultant, you're hired to consult. You should be promoting or enforcing advancements and collaboration. It's more ideal if the architecture is known before planning, but it's not always known. For this exercise, we know the architecture, we've already consulted with the client. A lot of people are afraid to bring up a recommendation. From a very young age, we're always conditioned, no, don't do this, don't do that. You know, it's ingrained in us. And after a while, we just stop asking. And the problem with that is it stagnates progress. If you never bring up an idea, the answer can only be no. So your job as a consultant is to consult, to push the industry forward. There's no problem with a client telling you, no, I don't want to use it. But what if they say yes? What if they say yes? Then you are at the forefront of a leading movement to better development. And that is a consistent theme within the LandMentor training. So, the building blocks of CAD are much different than the building blocks of LandMentor. CAD actually uses the term blocks, but it's simply a line work of data. We don't have blocks. We have what's called groups. And in this lesson, you're going to learn the difference between a block and a group. Any LandMentor file is essentially a group. We have no different file format. It's just one file. So I want you to start out by reading in your directory that's supplied. There's a Houses for Class directory. I want you to open that file, and you're going to see a list of houses. There's a left and a right. And I want you to choose Parker 61 right and then press open. And when you look and open that file and then go to report and query click, you'll see everything is defined. It's bedroom, living room, counter. The primary views or window spaces are also named and defined. Now on very large development, this would create an enormous amount of data, but if the developments say less than 400 or 500 units, there's no problem with having this level of detail. But sometimes we reduce the level of detail when it's a big plan. So that same group, when looked at in a 3D setting, the walls have been defined with a 9-foot height, the cabinets almost a 3-foot height, the porch a slight height so it pops out, and the windows are defined with a 3-foot height. So you could see the rooms, the window locations and things like that when you look at this in a 3D setting. And then you could take and use that exact same data to make out points. For example, I just dropped SketchUp models in a massing. A massing is taking a flat surface with height of surfaces, for example, walls and windows and fences, and then looking at it in 3D, and so you can see the infrastructure or the function of how the floor plan relates to the site plan, and then by placing people and cars and furniture and stuff like that, that came with your system, that it's easy to make points and visualize. And then what you would do with that drawing is put it in the PowerPoint and add your notes, and then you could save that away and put it on your drawing or a report. So we're going to teach you legal methods to use architectural to your advantage. For example, the regulatory minimum front yard is 76 feet. And when you look at regulations, they almost always mention only front yard. The width at the front yard setback. It is incredibly rare for them to ever think of the backyard. So the backyard, if the home is not as wide in the back than the front, the rear can be less than the minimum. And so what we've done is we put a kink in the side reference line. It's not a lot line, it's a line that represents the minimum that a lot line would pass through to be used as a guide. Phantom lines created at the regulatory minimums creates the basis for placing your units, whether it's multifamily or single family. So these phantom lines were placed at the regulatory minimums. And as long as you don't cross those points or those lines, every lot should be legal. So a group is nothing but the file that you're looking at. It's saved in the exact same way as any other LandMentor file. It's then can be called in and then merged with the geometry. So how does a group file differ from a typical plan file? Again, it doesn't. So let's now load the next exercise. So load beginning step 6. And again, like always, if it asks you want to override the file that's in memory, answer no. And you'll see this come up on the screen. I want you to zoom up approximately in this area of the site. Zoom up as close as you can to match this image. And you should see something like this. You'll press the groups function, and then what you'll want to do is add a group. And in this case, Parker 61 left, and then open. A pop-up will come up after you have a group. If you're using groups for geometry, you'll select fixed. If they're graphic only, like trees or something that you don't want to use for geometry, you would hit as graphic only. So for now, we'll just concentrate on fixed. An image of the home will float around as you move about with the mouse. It's going to be slightly transparent. And when you look at the functions on the right menu, you'll be able to scroll at 1 degree increments with the middle button, 15 degrees with the right button, shift and the right button will go counterclockwise 15 degrees, and you'll set it with the mouse left button. Don't use increase or decrease size. That would be more for graphics. Using the mouse buttons on the prompt, approximately move your home there. Then press the left button to set it, and you'll see a new phantom home move about. So what I want you to do is use the left button and the middle button. The left button to set these, the middle button to rotate them slightly, 1 degree at a time, and set these 3 models with a gap. It's very important, about a gap like you see between those endpoints. And the reason that you're doing a gap is you're going to be snapping to these endpoints, and if they're too close, you're not going to be able to see them. So you intentionally make these slightly apart to ease your work, and the space between them. And you'll notice they're not perfectly parallel. Then press escape to get out of it. So why did we choose the garage on the left side instead of the right side? We chose the garage on the left side because as you're entering the neighborhood, you don't want to see garage doors. You want to see those beautiful porches. So setting the garage on the far side of the entry takes and softens the impact of garage. You want to have them in the far side of the home. The exception would be if there's a better view, or you're going uphill or actually downhill at the entrance, so you'd want the garage on the high side. And so the garage should be on higher ground, so that's why an actual application you should have the contours on and look like we do and have the contours, but this is relatively flat. And it's actually going uphill. So zoom up on the area. We've got our models graphically set, and we're going to move them to exact locations. And to do that, we're going to hit points move. So you'll select points move, you'll place your model inside the group and press the left button to highlight it. You'll see it highlighted. Then you'll go to your reference point on the model. Now the prompt will change and guide you through it, but this is essentially the steps. With the left button, and then go to the next reference point and stamp to it with the left button, and then you'll see the model. It'll say verify move by snapping, answering yes, and then you'll follow me to move and rotate. So this will be the next step. So you can see we've got those 3 models. And I'm just going to repeat what we just said, but it'll be live on the screen. Points move, select the group, then point from, point to. It's pretty simple. But I want to rotate this group so it's exactly on this preset line here. And to do that, I'll hit rotate. The point, the group you want to rotate, the point you want to rotate about, the point from, and the point to. And then I'll answer yes. So I don't have to keep track of a degrees, minutes, seconds. So now that these 2 are together, I'll do points move, select my model from, to, and then rotate. Select my model, rotate about, from, and to. And now what I've got is the home set at the absolute minimums. So when I pass lot lines through these lines, I know that it'll meet the minimum, and I've created looking at the homes first and the lots second. That way you could concentrate on what are you viewing, where are your living areas, what's the garages, where are those positioned, things like that you absolutely will miss if you do the lots first and then the homes are an afterthought.